Alright, in this video, some odds and sods, moving along, working up towards fitting the windscreen and the cowl, but just tying up a few loose ends and a bit of hangar maintenance. Victoria's now in lockdown. Got some renovations going on at home here at the moment, so the tradies won't be coming around. Enjoy the video. Okay, so the throttle. This part of the panel was fairly soft, even with the top skin clecoed down. So I went ahead and made up just out of some scrap, bit of angle, bit of strap, aluminium strap, a couple of A5s up. Had to slot the hole to go around the lock nut on the throttle, and then just a bit of Tygon to obviously insulate the wires. And now that is rock solid. Beautiful. Good job, bit of freelance. So a few guys, just commented on the hanger. So got my engine change trolley there. Got some AstroTurf I'm about to lay. Wings neglected in the corner at the moment. All my cupboards over there just for the fuels and lubes. Cruzer, workbench, Aussie flag, couch, TV, kitchen, Jabaroo, and some club t-shirts, etc. The main power board. Just played with the doors, so doing some hanger maintenance today. Lifted the doors up ½ inch just to make them easier to open, so they're really one hand job now. It's all good. So getting off the Cruzer build a bit, but put the sink in. Now just running some water outside, just the tank. Got to stop myself building the Cruzer and just do a bit of hanger maintenance. It is actually raining today. Guys are flying in this weather. Got a cheap tank from Aldi, which is our local supermarket sort of thing, cheap supermarket, and it just robs the downpipe from the rainwater, and that's the overflow as well. Right, back at it again for another night. What have we got done so far? Watched the Super Bowl Monday morning, that was pretty good. Still trying to work out the rules. Out here tonight, Australian Open started, so got the Australian Open on the TV. Cricket's just finished. Wanted to hook into it tonight. Can feel myself. It's 8 o'clock at night. Just got out here. Probably not feeling enthusiastic. So I might put the drill away and just tidy up. Do some. I got some new Adele clamps there. Finish off the fuel lines where the fuel lines were connected. Just do some simple tasks like that. Might even lay out the grass and cut that. That's a job that I haven't been doing. I've got synthetic turf to go out the front of the hanger, so I might even do that. I like to finish each job as I go. You can see down the bottom there I've got the coax for the aerial hanging out, so I want to get in there and finish off, terminate that end with the I think it's a Rami aerial, going to poke out the top there. So what I might do tonight, just on the bench, I'll make up the doubler plate. I don't feel up to finding centre, drilling a hole right in the middle of the fuselage on the roof there. So yeah, before I muck that up, I think I'll play around on the bench and get that sorted. Right, just a quick job. A couple of P-clamps, just secures the fuel line on both sides there. One's from the car, or fuel pump to the carby, and this black one is my new one from, so fuel in, comes through the firewall, 90 degrees, into the fuel filter, 90 degrees, 90 degrees, fuel pump, another 90, and through the P-clamp, just holds everything nice and rigid. I'm getting a bit addicted to those clamps, and into the mechanical fuel pump. Tygon tubing here is a drain, which will end up down there somewhere once I fit up the cowl. The Jabaroo also runs a oil bottle catch, if you like, from your filler. Got a big tube. It's going to run back to an oil bottle that's over here. Some oil bottle. This is where I procrastinate a bit, just working out how how I'm actually going to attach it. This particular bottle, obviously it catches the oil, fills up, and needs to be removed. It's got a standpipe in it, is what I'm trying to say. So this one goes all the way to the top. There's a little vent hole at the top, so it catches all the oil. This will slowly fill up. Holds about, probably a stubby, 375 mils. So yeah, and then to empty that, you've actually got to physically remove it and tip it out. Other ones haven't got a standpipe, and you can simply put a tap on the bottom and just empty it while it's in situ. So I did think about, it's a relatively simple job, doesn't really matter where it goes. There's a spot allocated there for it, it's on a slight angle, that's fine. With the oil line coming in the top, does mean I can run across the top here to where it needs to go, into there. Consideration there is though also the exit needs to get over somewhere towards the nose strut. I did think about cutting a slot here and just running a Velcro strap. However, I think the Velcro, like I'm building it to last more than a year, so the Velcro will get all oily and crappy. I could change the Velcro. But I'm thinking about a big P-clamp just on there. You only have to loosen it and then slide it out. So anyway, that's the oil overflow bottle for the Jabiru. Okay, right. Cleaned up the engine a bit tonight. Now I'll get onto this. So I've got the aerial with the mount. Comes with a nice template that is not to scale, so thanks for the useless template, I guess. Doesn't call for it, but I'm just going to knock out a little patch or reinforcing plate, probably about the size of that bit of paper if you like, for the aerial to go into, square or diagonal, around off the corners, and that'll go on top of the roof there, top of the fuselage. So up on top of the fuzz, centre, take into account rear baggage wall, and the aerial's just going to go there somewhere straight above the hole underneath, and I'll just run the aerial or the actual cable itself up next to it, or the antenna aerial, I don't know, same thing. Also nearly at the point, I have to have a hard think about this, but I'm pretty sure I can close the glare shield at the front and then start on the windscreen, which makes me nervous, but I better get my inspector in. Good guy at the airfield here, but he hasn't actually seen the fuselage yet. He inspected the wings, did a couple of, the wings are over there. I was at home in my shed, that's the last I've had him around. Hasn't seen the fuselage, hasn't seen the tail, undercarriage. By the way, mate, I threw the engine in. Oh, and did I tell you I bought a hanger and painted the floor and decked out the hanger? So he's in for a bit of a surprise. But anyway, we'll get him down and go over the aircraft. Alright, so a little doubler plate for the Rammy aerial. That'll go in there, well, fits in there nicely when I take the nuts off. So I'll run the coax inside and that'll complete that job. One last check of the aerial, so it's coming out of the back. There's enough length, just falling down there. There's enough length there for that one, and unplug the radio. Now I'm no electronic wizard, but I just use the old for most of my work. I just use the beeper, and that just to check, simple, easy to do now. So I've got continuity on the outside and a little pin on the inside, so just about ready to transmit actually. So I got the aerial or the coax all installed up there with the hole in the bottom. It's interesting because that lines up. You can see this row of rivets here. That's your baggage box. The hole's about there, so when you get in there, you've got to kink yourself either fore or aft, and you can't turn around once you're in there. See my reflection there. Lucky I'm wearing pants today. For me anyway, it was 30 degrees today, Celsius, in the hangar, and silly me, I was climbing up in there. I had 4 Adele clamps or P clamps to put on. I did one at a time, jumped up there, drilled a hole, did the clamp, had to get out for a spell. Pretty warm up in there, so there's no ventilation or anything like that, so look after yourselves if you're going to climb up in there, is what I'm trying to get at. Yeah, no ventilation, stinking hot, probably lost a couple of kilos working up in there. So, I got that job done. Okay, so throttle connection. At the moment, I couldn't work out, didn't have a system to connect my throttle cable, so I've installed from Aircraft Spruce, that's a 78 thou, 0.078, 2mm, solid stainless wire. The reason I know it's stainless is because I cut a bit off and tried to solder it. The reason I wanted to solder it is from Jabiru, you get 4 or 5 throttle end connectors, if you like, and they use the stranded wire. For instance, that big brass bit there, you put the wire in, fluff out the end, and not silver solder, but just soft solder to terminate the end of your cable. I couldn't do that. Lucky I tested it on the bench, because trying to solder that in situ, and I worked out that it's stainless wire. So took a case of beverages down to my local fitter and turner, or the motorbike shop, and he's turned me up a nice sort of clevis pin with a locking screw. So we'll see how that goes. Alright, so jumping all over the shop a bit here. You're probably picking up on it, I'm not much of a photographer, so I hope the light behind me is not throwing things out of whack. Also went down to the shop, so I'm trying to build the aeroplane but improve the hangar at the same time. Got annoyed with laying out extension lead, 240 volts, so went out and bought myself a retractable extension lead. So we'll see how that goes. A Detroit, probably made in China. It actually is, made in China. There you go, must be good. It's a bit more on the hangar maintenance. Just laid my grass, the turf out the front of the hangar. Alright, so got that throttle all in and connected. Yeah, not 100% sure. I was lucky I've cut that. I thought I left myself a lot more. It does the job. However, now with the throttle, so 100% to idle, only got maybe 1.25 inch travel there. Not sure if that's 100%. Back to idle. Not sure if that's going to be enough. Very sensitive throttle. Alright, so another late night. Bit echoey out here, but it's decision time, guys. So it's almost time to start painting the aeroplane. Now, I'm not sure whether I can paint it, obviously. I can leave it natural, but to me that looks a bit... I understand if you're going to be stolen flying in a farm or something, fantastic, but this is going to be a bit of a tarmac, as opposed to a hangar queen, a tarmac queen. So just flying on bitumen. So the small wheels, what are they, 5x5s, and the spats, same as, there's one right behind me, same as little jabber. So this aircraft's going to be built for tarmac operations. I think in Australia it's a bit different. I'm not too sure how we can just go and land on the beach. But anyway, having said that, I was going to go down the route of buying paint, spray gun, big spray booth. On Amazon you get the inflatable tent which would fit in here, and I can spray it. Probably go with, if I was to paint it, I'll go with 2-pack. So an epoxy primer. Obviously you've got to prep the surface. I'll look into Allodyne or something like that. Prep the surface, prime the surface, maybe fill any defects, although with the aluminium's pretty good. And I like the 2-pack auto paints, so I just have to do it once. Now I've designed my colour scheme, which I've shown you guys before, to keep it relatively simple and limit the amount of masking. If I went like a sunburst scheme or something like that with masking everywhere, you're going to run in where you have the rivets and you're trying to mask. It's pretty unavoidable. You're going to have to mask over the top of rivets and you get bleeds and all sorts of stuff. So that's half the reason I've gone with the colour scheme that I want. Try to keep it simple. I've basically got that stripe up the fuselage from top and bottom, and I'll try and avoid the rivets if I can. But then orange stab, white fin, least amount of masking. The other option, I guess, is that I've sort of turned my nose up at first, but just to wrap the aeroplane. So, got to move with the times a bit. People probably screwed their nose up at the internet, and look at me now. But anyway, so the plastic wrap that could go on. Now I've thought about that. Got a nice model aeroplane hanging up there behind me, and it's all covered in the, I'll get a shot of that. So now that's all covered in the iron-on monocoat, solar film, the plastic heat shrink. I don't know how many, I must have built, 40 years, 5 or 6 models a year, 200 models. Feels like more than that, but let's be realistic. But a lot anyway. So if I was to wrap the aircraft, I guess preparation, just sort of clean it up. There's no primer, there's not much mess. However, I think I received about 8,000 rivets at the start of this. So let's say that, well, maybe that was one size. Let's say there's 8,000 rivets. That means every one of those rivets needs attention, like individual attention, to go around and get the air out of those bubbles. I'm a pretty patient bloke, but I'm not sure there's going to be a great time saving there between painting or putting on the wrap. Also, say I was to do this side, which is similar, say the elevator. On the elevator or the rudder, where you've got the hinge line or you've got parts like that, an L angle poking up, potentially what I would do would be to prime and cheat a bit, put a bit of a cheating coat of paint on there. A good example is the hinge line of the elevator, between the elevator and the stab. So say it's going to be white for argument's sake, spray all that white in there, then when you wrap it, you only sort of do the good bit. Same as sort of quick bit of paint on the corners, I guess. So if you do miss any bits, it's not going to stand out and be raw aluminium, you'll see the corners. So that got me thinking, well, if I went down the wrap route, then I'm going to pull the paint out anyway. I might as well just paint the whole aircraft. Let's go with paint. So as far as costing goes, I haven't really sat down and worked it out. But a spray booth, I think they're on Amazon for $1,500, might be $1,500 US, which is a fair few South Pacific pesos. I'll also get a turbine compressor, the little air ones. I've been following Bow and Arrow. He's building a Kit Fox, Project Kit Fox, one of the stole rats. So I don't think he watches me, but anyway, if you're not watching him, he's got some great stuff there. He painted his Kit Fox, and that's what he used. One of these, is it HLPV, high volume, low pressure. That might be the gun. But anyway, it's a turbine, so you don't get that kick in and kick out of a normal compressor. And I believe you can, set a bit of a temperature on the air as well. So a compressor, I think they're, say, $2,000 as well. And then the paint, and a bit of PPE, obviously. So what are we up to? Let's, for argument's sake, say $5,000 for the tent, compressor, spray gun, PPE, mixing tools, cups, all that sort of stuff. From what I understand, the wrap is going to be about $5,000 as well, the actual material, and the time taken to do it. I'm pretty confident I can do it, Because it's new, I'm not 100% sure of the longevity of it, whether it starts to dog ear and lift. Also, you know, it can hide cracks and corrosion and that sort of stuff. It'd be great, I guess, if you're going to do like the jab behind me, you know, a Smarties colour scheme or Scooby-Doo or, you know, Jungle Book or something like that, and take it to the shop. And I know they can do some fantastic, like the V8 race cars, the Formula 1 race cars. They can do some fantastic stuff. Because I've got the basic colour scheme and I'm pretty much going to stick to that colour scheme that I've got, yeah, I think I'll go with the paint. I think it'd be about the same. I think the paint would end up being roughly the same. Might be a little bit more expensive. However, what I do think of is that then I've got the tools to paint and help others, I guess, paint other stuff. Alright, confused? I'm a bit confused, but I think I'll go with paint. I did seriously consider wrapping the aircraft, but for those reasons, I think I'll just go with paint. Not sure if I trust myself on the paint gun, but you live and learn. Nothing you can't sand out. And most of the surfaces are flat. And I'll just do a piece at a time if I have to. So from here, next videos, I'm going to move on to the windows, the windscreen, bubble windows on the side, fit the cowl. Then it gets scary. We're probably due to fit the wings next. No idea how I'm going to do that, but keep watching. Thank you.